Hello PST, this is a video to help with substitution and elimination, which is on 9.7, I believe, in our chapter 9 stuff. So I know some of us are struggling a little bit with exactly how this works, and again, every problem's a little bit different. So I'm just going to go through two examples here, one of each type, and then hopefully it'll give you a little bit more insight. So we'll go ahead and start here with the substitution method. You want to use this when you have really no matching up variables, like in elimination where you can kind of cancel stuff out. This is used more when you have a variable equal to something, like we have that top y equals x minus 6, and we can plug that in, substitute that in for y here on the bottom equation. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this y equals x minus 6 and plug it in for y in the bottom equation. So let's go ahead and do that. X squared, and then plus wherever we see a y, we plug in x minus 6, and again, you know that my handwriting isn't the greatest with this. Squared equals 26. Alright, so now we just have x's, and that's perfect. So now we're just going to solve for x, and so we're going to take our x squared and kind of expand everything out. So we have this x minus 6, and we have to FOIL. Remember, this x minus 6 squared is just x minus 6 twice, so times x minus 6 equals 26. So let's FOIL. We've got first terms, x times x squared. We've got outside terms, oops, x times negative 6, so minus 6x. Inside terms, negative 6 times x is also negative 6x. And last terms, negative 6 times negative 6 equals positive 36. Oops, I forgot my 26. There's a 2 up here. Whoops. Just add that in. Alright, and we'll kind of just bring everything else down as well. Alright, so we have x squared. We need to combine like terms. So we have x squared and x squared. We have two of them. So that means we have 2x squared. We have negative 6x and negative 6x. That's negative 12x. And then we have 36. We can bring this 26 over. So minus 26, we'd have plus 10. So you can see that we now have a nice quadratic equation. Hopefully we don't have to use the quadratic formula. Hopefully we can just we could cancel 2's out. So let's take a 2 out of each of these terms. We have x squared minus 6x plus 5, equals 0. It looks like we can factor everyone's favorite, so it's a lot easier. What multiplies to a positive 5 and subtracts or adds to a negative 6? Well, 5 and 1, and they would both have to be negative because we need to get to a negative 6, and a negative times a negative is a positive. So we have x minus 1 and x minus 5 equals 0. So our x's, we're solving for x here, x equals 1 or x equals 5. So that's awesome. To find our y solutions to these two equations, we need to go back and plug in our 1 and our 5 back into any equation up here, any of these. Doesn't matter which one. I'm going to pick the easier one. So if I plug in, let's do 1 first. y equals 1, because we found x is 1, minus 6. So y equals negative 5 when x equals that 1. So our one solution is 1, negative 5. Then we can also plug in our 5. When x equals 5, y equals 5 minus 6. So y equals, again, sorry about the handwriting, negative 1. So we have the solutions, parenthesis, 5, negative 1, and 1, negative 5. So these are your two answers. Sorry, doing this with my mouse on my laptop. So your answers are 1, negative 5, and 5, negative 1. So you have to go through and solve for one variable and then go plug it back in at the top for any equation you want. It can be the second one, x squared plus y squared equals 26, but that's going to be a lot more difficult to solve for than the top one. Right? Last one here is elimination. So you want to use this when you could possibly have two variables cancel out, and when it looks like it's going to be difficult to solve for one variable and substitute. So this one's a little more complex, so it looks like we're going to have to do elimination. So in order to do that, we need to make sure that we have two variables that can cancel out. Well, it looks like we have positive 4x and a negative x. That's not going to cancel out completely. We have a 6x squared and a 3x squared. That's not going to really cancel out easily. We do have a negative y and a negative y, but we want one to be positive if we want them to cancel out. So a way we can do this, and I did this in class the other day, is to multiply one equation by whatever you need to get to the opposite. So what this means is you have a negative y up here. Down here we want a positive y. So how can we make this negative y down here into a positive y? Well, we can multiply by negative 1. So right now it's really easy. Sometimes you might have to multiply by like a negative 2 or a negative 4 or a positive 4. But I just take this one for simplicity's sake. So we're going to multiply this by a negative 1 and get something different. So we have to do everything by negative 1. So negative 3x squared. So you're just kind of switching the sign on everything. Let's see, positive x, here's our positive y, and then equals, and you still have to do everything, so negative 2. So now, elimination, we're going to add all this up, and we kind of got rid of this. So we're going to add up the purple and the red down here. So 6x squared plus negative 3x squared is going to get us a negative 3. Oh, not a negative, excuse me. A positive 3x squared. 4x plus x is going to be 5x. And our y's cancel, which is what we want. So we're getting rid of a variable. And then 4 plus negative 2 is 2. Right? So now we just have the x here for us. So it looks like we need to solve for x, and it doesn't look like it's going to be as easy this time. So let's see here. I'm going to rewrite it with the 2. We're going to subtract the 2 over here equals 0. And it looks like this isn't really factorable, so why don't we practice using the quadratic formula here? We can go ahead and try it out. Everyone's favorite. So remember, I'll put it over here for us to kind of look at. Let's see. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4. This is your friend, even though it's not always the best 2a. Okay, so our a here is 3. B is 5. You have to take the sign, so it's positive 5. And C is negative 2. So all you have to do is just plug it in. So negative B would be negative 5 plus or minus square root of 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 2 all over 2 times 3. So let's simplify this here. Algebra is all about just being patient and going step by step. You're not going to get the answer immediately. So we have under here a 25. 5 squared is 25, and then we have 3 times negative 2 is 6 times 4 is 24, I believe. All over 6. So this equals negative 5 plus or minus square root of 49. Oh, this looks like it's going to be a good one. And then over 6. So this looks like it's negative 5 plus or minus 7, because square root of 49 is 7, all over 6. So if we do each term here, negative 5 plus 7 is 2 over 6 is 1/3. So that's one option. And then negative 5 minus 7 is going to be negative 12 divided by 6 equals negative 2. So our answers are going to be 1/3 and negative 2 for x. We just solved for x. So here it is. So we got our x's, 1/3 and negative 2, and now we just need to go back up here, plug it in for x to find y. So you can pick either one. I'm going to pick the one that we crossed out because it looks a little bit easier. So we'll plug in 1/3 first. So 3 times 1/3, just plugging in what we got, squared minus 1/3 minus y equals 2. So, this is kind of gross. So 1/3 squared is 1/9. So 3 over 9 is 1/3, right? Yep, so 1/3 minus 1/3 conveniently is 0. So that's kind of nice. So we just have the negative y left, because this is cancels out, equals 2. So y equals, sorry, this is kind of getting messy, equals negative 2. So we have one answer of 1/3 negative 2. And our other answer was negative 2, right? So let's go plug that in. So 3 times negative 2 squared minus negative 2 would be, we can just change that to a plus 2 minus y equals 2. So we have negative 2 squared is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 2 minus y equals 2. So 14 minus y equals 2. Subtract the 14 over, you get negative 12. Switch the signs here, y equals 12. So we have another solution of -2. We plug that in for x, and then 12. So those, oops, let me look back on that. So those are our two solutions, and I'll put this in green since we've got a lot going on. So there's one, there's the other. So again, every problem is different. You might use a quadratic formula, you might factor, you might have a mess, you might not. It's just using what you know and going step by step with everything, combining like terms, asking for help when you need it, and just trying to push through all the algebra and everything to get down to the answers that you need. Have confidence in what you're doing and you'll be just fine. Again, any questions, let me know, and good luck.